It's the 5th day at the House of Tiny Tearaways, and although this week's 3 families leave tomorrow, there's still an awful lot of work to be done.
I'll be frank with you. Is your relationship strong enough?
In this building behind me, this week 3 families are living, learning, crying and working together to solve their parenting problems with the help and guidance of clinical psychologist Dr Tanya Byron. Been completed in conjunction with a committee of childcare experts to make sure that it's a safe, fun place for kids to stay, whilst also recreating a realistic and practical home environment.
My challenge is to help as many families as I can, and I've been given just 6 days to do it.
Alyson and Richard Hadley's life was a nightmare. Their 3.5-year-old daughter Lucy throws wild tantrums if she doesn't get her own way, and their futile attempts to reach a solution at home have torn Mum and Dad's relationship apart. Glaswegian single mum Michelle Wright has brought her 2 boys, Matthew, aged 3.5, and Ross, aged 2, to try and get them to sleep through the night for the first time and hopefully put a stop to their uncontrollable behaviour. The Murphys, Dad Steve, Mum Paula and their 2 sons, 5-year-old Jacob and 2.5-year-old Isaac. Both their eating habits have become huge issues at home. Jacob refuses to eat unless he's spoon-fed, and Isaac will only eat if he's distracted, and every meal has to be liquidised. Who would have thought that so much could have been achieved already? But for Tanya and the families, there's still a way to go yet, and only 2 days to get there. Over the week, 2.5-year-old Isaac has moved from a high chair to a booster seat. And yesterday, he made an even bigger breakthrough when he ate completely new food in a restaurant entirely of his own accord. Encouraged by the good progress, Mum Paula has decided to offer him a new cereal for breakfast rather than his usual.
Well done, Jacob. Clever boy. And Lucy's doing it as well.
Because I won't do it.
Look at Ross and Matthew. Yeah. Clever boy.
I won't do it.
Yeah, and Eggert's going to do it. What's the matter? You want the book? Right, eat that then, and Mummy go and get the book. Yeah, eat that then. Eat your breakfast.
No.
And no book then.
You eating up? What's the matter?
Right.
Breakfast?
I don't think he's going to... Good girl. Maybe I shouldn't have experimented that far.
Want to do him a quick roll of Weet-Bix?
It's just knowing what's best, isn't it? We're learning just as much as...
It's first time, isn't it? Something different.
We'll probably get told off for doing this, though.
No, I don't think so. You think it was only the first breakfast yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. He's watching.
And now he's got something completely different. We tried it.
He's made incredible leaps with his eating so far, but with only 2 days to go, the Murphys are having to take a small step back with Isaac's first meal of the day.
What have you got? Is that nice?
Fill these up.
Is it nice?
Clever boy. You're going to stir round and round. And then we go in the tunnel. Ready? Eggert, do it. Mmm. Yay!
Clever mummy.
Eggert's turn. Ready? In the tunnel.
Wow.
Yay! Oh! That was brilliant.
Michelle Wright has brought her 2 sons, Ross and Matthew, here to try and solve their chronic sleeping problems. At home, they wake up continuously throughout the night, and Michelle has existed on little more than 4 hours broken sleep a night for the past 2 years. Last night, there was an unbelievable breakthrough. Ross only woke up once and Matthew twice. This is an absolute first.
Carrots here.
While Matthew and Ross's sleeping has improved dramatically, their behaviour still needs a lot of work.
Put it back. That's bad.
Suck up.
Right. I told you never to say those words again.
Good morning.
And look at that, you're
Morning.
missing Tanya's treat. Morning, I'm just popping him in time out. 2 minutes.
Yeah, OK.
Tanya has arrived to congratulate Michelle on what was a fabulous night.
Hello.
You have been bad saying those words again.
Is Tanya not going?
Stay here.
Tanya's time-out technique involves keeping the child in a safe place for 1 minute for each year of their life.
We're just going to wait for somebody to come out of timeout. Shall we all sit down?
Yeah.
What about this little rascal? Guess how many times this little rascal woke up in the night?
Once, wasn't it?
Unbelievable.
Once.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Michelle
Once.
She said she got back into bed and left him to cry and he went back to sleep again.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Look at me. I put you in here for saying shut up. You do not say those words. If you say them again, you are coming back in this room. And now Tanya's getting ready to treat, so you better hurry up. And this is for last night.
Shall we give you a big clap for being a good boy in bed last night? Well done, Ross. Oh, amazing. Good night's sleep.
Oh, it was amazing.
The incredible achievement with your boys last night. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And you've done that all by yourself. And I think that's amazing. They were getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep a night. They're now getting 10 to 11 hours of sleep a night. You're getting 6 to 7 hours of sleep a night. They're in their own beds. They're taking themselves to bed and they're going to sleep. They're not the sleep problem in the house now.
No, they're not.
Lucy is.
So well done, Michelle.
Well done, you get a massive clap.
Honestly, I still can't believe it. It's been a hard morning with the behaviours now.
I know. Well, one thing goes, another thing comes, but we're going to talk about that.
Thank
We're
you.
going to talk about that.
Well done. Thank you.
Michelle has been working hard to be more direct and disciplined with her 2 sons, Matthew and Ross, but her biggest concern is coping with their unruly behaviour in public. To help Michelle combat this fear, Tanya wants her to take the boys out for a walk to the park, but even this simple first step is getting her worried.
Alyson, I am so not wanting to do today. Do you think I could even say to them, is there any chance of even just having the 3 of us in the garden? Really don't want to do it.
But you need to do it, don't you? You'll be able to do it.
Honestly, I've always needed my mum or someone else there.
So it's going to be a big thing for you.
Just me and the 2 of them is just going to be too difficult. I mean,
but you need to be able to go out on your own, don't you? So look how quick everything else has happened.
Right, are you getting? I'll get your tummy. Shoes on, I'll put your shoes on, my sweetheart.
You need to be able to go out on your own, don't you? So you've got to do it, and you will be able to do it. You might be surprised, but it will be scary because you've not done it before, have you?
Not for a very long time, and if I've had to. It depends on their moods. So sometimes, on the odd occasion, they could be really okay, so I'll get like 5, 10 minutes, I'll get in and get out what I'm doing. But not so much Ross, it's Matthew's in his funny mood, and I just know he's going to be...
But you're firmer now, and he knows that you mean business, doesn't he?
Yeah, so... Do you know what's been strange though, and how yesterday I kept saying Ross is the one and Ross is the one? He's only been in time out once, and he's been in all the time, so it's just made me, it's opened my eyes. I'm like,
amazing, isn't it?
I know, it is.
You look nice.
Hey, sweetheart.
You'll be fine.
Three-and-a-half-year-old Lucy Hadley is playing with Jacob in the lounge.
Hold hands. Hold hands. You're my best girl.
He gets it from his dad. He's got an eye for the girls.
Well, when you got it, you got it.
Mum Alyson and Dad Richard Hadley have come to work on three-and-a-half-year-old Lucy's attention-seeking tantrums, which have brought their relationship to breaking point. To try and bring Alyson and Richard back together, Tanya has asked them to draw up a parent contract, but even that has caused arguments.
Well, that's not working together and supporting each other, is it?
Because that's supporting me emotionally.
No, you can't use emotions.
Hold on.
Tanya has asked Alyson and Richard to join her in the quiet room to discuss the outcome of their parent contract, but they're still finding it difficult to agree on anything.
No, the only thing was like the getting home at the time, when you saying, oh, go in early and come home, and I just pointed out that I can't keep getting home early because I've actually got to do my hours in the week, and I can't just every day come home early, because as a consequence I've got to either go in early or at some point work late, because usually...
But then, if it's important to me that we have a meal time at the same time every night...
Yeah, and we agreed that I would try to, because I can't come home at the same time every day. I've got a job that I've got a degree of flexibility, but I do have things to do.
Oh, it's still...
No, but we agreed that what we'll do, we would try. So I would try to get home at a certain time.
Do you think you'll ever stop arguing?
No.
I don't either. It's part of your relationship, isn't it?
We're arguing here, but it's a funny argue. It's not a serious argue.
But you're really stubborn.
Yeah.
And always have to be right.
Yeah.
I'm finding this quite frustrating because I don't think you recognise that the best thing you did in this house was the day you shed a tear, because it was one moment when I thought, he's really got it. But very quickly you just kind of revert back to sort of like a military plan. And what I can see is you get very wound up, and then you start to kind of throw in these little kind of passive-aggressive comments, and you kind of argue without arguing. It's kind of it's quite interesting to watch. And there's a part of me that thinks, oh, just have an argument, or don't have an argument, but you have these little kind of moments together.
Yeah, because I don't... I know that if I do, it'll just brew, and I'm not going to win at the end anyway, not because I know if I do say something more, it'll be a huge row and he'll get really angry and then not perhaps talk to me for a few days.
Do you trust Alyson?
I do trust Alyson.
Why do you feel the need to tell her what to do so much?
Just so I feel easier myself.
So
I feel more at ease, that I know that everything's going okay and everything's fine, and you know, the world spins round and night follows day.
So it interests me that you fell in love with a woman who
unbelievable, isn't it?
Very different to you.
Completely opposite.
Yeah. So why do you think you did that?
Well, obviously there's certain qualities, obviously, Alyson, that really appeal to me. And I suppose...
What about as a person, as a woman, as a being in her own right?
She's great. She's very loving. She's very affectionate when she can be, and she's very happy.
That sounds really...
When we get on, she is very, you know, she's very nice, warm, loving person. When we're not, then she's a Cruella de Vil woman. So we do have that, and I suppose I'm the same.
But it's quite an immature way of looking at the world.
I suppose it is.
Nice mummy or horrid mummy. Nice Alyson or horrid Alyson. Good Lucy or naughty Lucy. I hear you say that to her sometimes. Are you good or are you naughty? It's very black and white. There's no sense that there could be something about Alyson that is irritating, but you just kind of love her for it anyway, and you can go with it, and hey, what the hell. You're both very good at putting your side of the argument across, and it's really strong for me. I sit in this seat and I can feel you looking at me as if to say, see, and I can feel you saying to me, I've said it, and citing 15 examples, and I'm kind of feeling like... And I wonder if that's what she experiences sometimes. No wonder she's having tantrums, because what her tantrums do, it's the one thing that gets you both there. Yeah. It's the one thing that she can do that brings you both together. Yeah.
But at least when she's having a tantrum, she's got mummy and daddy kind of in the same place because you're both thinking what we're going to do about this.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm concerned, I'll be frank with you. Is your relationship strong enough to sustain the changes that you've made in here? I don't know.
There's no way to find out.
It feels to me, after that consultation with the Hadleys, as if nothing's changed. That could have almost been day one. Am I being too harsh?
I'm a bit worried about the fact that we're approaching time to leave the house. And they've made really good shifts in terms of Lucy's behaviour. I mean, Lucy has no tantrums now. They've been eradicated. And they're really sort of, as Richard would say, operationalising, you know, all the concepts, the parenting concepts. But I was so struck last night when they were sort of bickering in front of her sticker chart.
I think you deserve 2 stickers because you have been such a good girl and not had any tantrums.
That's it, no more.
3? You can have another one. Put another one up.
I say no more and you say put another one
Oh,
up.
sorry.
Something needs to kind of click into place with them, and I just don't feel it has yet. And I think they're quite disconnected. And that bothers me a little bit because I think in the context of this house with me in the next room, everything's going well, but when they go back home and there's the regular pressures of life, not sure how they're going to maintain the change.
Do you think that if they go home and the bickering continues or it gets worse when they're away from the other families and you, her tantrums will also start again?
I am really struck by the fact that as Alyson and Richard have really calmed down in the house, Lucy's also really calmed down, and I suppose I suspect that if things go home and boot back up again, she will respond and boot her tantrums back up. It's not about bringing your child up in a sort of conflict-free environment, but I think for this couple, they really are so polarised in their views of themselves and each other that can become unhealthy. It's about trying to find a space in the middle where we can disagree, but we can also find a way of coming back together again.
Their daughter Lucy is 3.5 and she still has a bottle.
Yeah, she shouldn't be having a bottle at all. But, you know, the bottle is so symbolic of Alyson's relationship with Lucy, the umbilical cord. And, I mean, you know, it's been really severed this week. I mean, Alyson now shares Lucy. Alyson is now prepared to kiss Lucy goodnight and walk out of the bedroom. There are so many aspects of her relationship with her daughter where she's allowed her daughter to grow up and become more independent. I can understand she might feel shaky about this one, but if they can do it before they leave, I think it would be fantastic. That's my plan, my dastardly plan.
Your big aim?
My big aim. Bottle goes to the bottle fairy.
It's day 5 in the House of Tiny Tearaways, and time is fast running out for Tanya as she attempts to sort the parental problems of this week's 3 families. Night times are a nightmare for mum Michelle Wright. Her sons, 3.5-year-old Matthew and 2-year-old Ross, wake continuously throughout the night, and she's been left seriously sleep-deprived. After some exhausting and emotional effort, Michelle has managed to reduce the boys' night waking dramatically, but is still finding it hard to cope with their unruly behaviour during the day. Tanya is now helping Michelle toughen up her attitude, so Matthew and Ross start to realise that she means business, but they're testing Mum's newfound assertiveness to the limit.
You're a big boy! Go over there!
For the Hadley family, 3.5-year-old daughter Lucy's manipulative tantrums have stretched her mum and dad to breaking point. After much soul-searching, Alyson wants to loosen the overly clingy bond with her daughter that has frozen Dad out of family life at home. But progress on Alyson and Richard's relationship has been slow, and there is still much work to be done if the united approach to parenting they need is to be achieved.
You don't support me at all. That's what I feel, there's no support.
Okay, right, okay.
The Murphys from East Sussex are desperate to solve the eating problems of 2.5-year-old Isaac and his 5-year-old brother, Jacob. Both boys have already made great progress, with Jacob starting to feed himself again and Isaac going without his normally liquidised food and eating a proper meal at a restaurant for the very first time.
Good boy!
However, Tanya now has to make sure that this isn't a one-off, but the beginnings of a long-term solution. Still to come, Mum Paula Murphy's heartbreak.
How old would he have been there?
That's what hurts, because I don't know. But it's that face that I don't know.
On top of helping her deal with her son's sleeping problems, Tanya has spent this week trying to improve mum Michelle Wright's assertiveness skills.
Don't hit your brother. Now you sit here until I tell you not to.
Today, Michelle is going to face her last remaining fear, taking her boys, Matthew and his younger brother Ross, out in public. Tanya takes Michelle into the garden to give her some advice in preparation for her outing to the park. Michelle struggles to control Matthew and Ross when she's out because they run riot and refuse to come back when she calls them.
Going out with the boys is something that fills you with
Fear.
fear. So ordinarily, if you were to take the boys out, you'd put them in the buggy, would you, or not?
They would both go in the buggy.
Right.
They wouldn't last long in the buggy before they start fighting.
Right.
And it's 9 times out of 10, it's Matthew that comes out, Ross stays in. And I'm finding I'm pushing the buggy and I'm trying to separate them and manoeuvre the buggy wherever I'm going.
What we're going to try and achieve today is just that you can walk somewhere, managing them, you can then have a play, you can then get them back in, and then you can bring them back. Come to the chair here. One of the things I was just going to show you, because lots of times children with buggies, what they'll do is they'll kind of do the back arching thing, and you see parents kind of whacking
them in two,
Yeah. There's quite an effective way of getting your child into the buggy, which I will do here. So here's the buggy. You're the child. It's using your shoulder and your body weight. And in effect, I mean, it's difficult because you're obviously not a child and you're more at my height. But in effect, you get your child here like this, and as you hold them, you just kind of, you use your body to sort of manoeuvre them in like that. Do you see what I just did there? You can then hold them like this, get one round, hold it like that, pull the one through the legs, do them up, and then you just stand back. Yesterday, you know when you went off for a sleep with Ross, which you then didn't have, he was making a big fuss. And I carried him back into the house, and then it was like, what was that? And he was just captivated. And it's just kind of trying to catch your kids off guard. So if he's kind of playing up, you could use lots of distraction techniques. What's that over there? Oh my goodness, who's that? Did you see that person? He had no clothes on. So do you want to practice with me? So I'm having a big tantrum and you want to distract me, so you would go...
Look at the bird, or look at the aeroplane, or spiders do it.
Yeah, but how would you do it though? Look at the spider. Look at the spider.
No, I'd be like, look at the spider.
Good, good. Lots of that, and keep going, because you give up quite quickly. I just want you to keep going. Just keep them engaged. Goodness me, oh my goodness, what's this? Look at Mummy's bottom, anything. Right, so they're in. So now they're in. And
they'll be fine. Pushing along, they'll be quite fine until one of them does something. It could be accidental, and the other one will just retaliate.
What you need to do is you need to alternate. So you've got them in the buggy, and you've got the situation right, and you've decided you can't leave them to fight anymore. So you'd stop, and you'd come down, and you'd do all your. I said stop it now. And then if you have to take one out, you'd leave him there, let him. Ross is in there. Let Ross scream. Take Matthew out, and make it that it's not a nice thing. Use one of these, which is, you know, these child reins.
Yeah.
Which goes on their wrist.
So that would go through there, yeah.
Okay. And you'd kind of bring him round. So it's not so much pleasure anymore that he's got out, but you'd hold him quite close and you'd hold the reins with the buggy. And you'd say to him, you are staying here next to me until you show me you can behave. And then if it happened again, you'd repeat it, but this time you'd do it with Ross. Would you normally take some sweeties or something to the park with you, or a little treat or something?
Never to the park, but that would be nice for them.
So take your little treat sweets, and they go off and play, and then you say, OK, who wants to have a little treat? You've been playing so nicely. Who can get here by the time I count to 3? 1, 2, 3, and who's ever there by 3 gets a sweet. If they don't get a sweet. Behaviour, consequence. In a clear, assertive voice. Because eventually I want to see you in a shop with your boys doing shopping, and they run off and you say, OK boys, time to go, I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and they're shoot back to the buggy.
Just...
2.5-year-old Isaac Murphy came to the house unwilling to eat a proper meal unless it was liquidised. Yesterday saw a remarkable breakthrough when he ate a solid meal in a restaurant for the first time ever. Encouraged by this newfound willingness to try new foods, Mum Paula presented Isaac with a new cereal at breakfast, but he refused to eat it. Will lunchtime be a case of 1 step forward, 2 steps back?
Kind of feeling a bit lonely in my room, you know. I just thought I'd come and join you and hang out, if that's OK.
That's fine. Look.
Matthew.
Wow, smiley face.
Look.
Smiley face.
Daddy.
Do you want some dip?
Big.
Boo, how are you? With your smiley face there.
He loves his audience.
Look, Eggert, Lucy's doing it in the tunnel.
It reminds me of good girl, Lucy. Do we give Lucy a clap for doing it in the tunnel? Yay! Lucy in the tunnel. Oh, Eggert's in the tunnel.
Good boy.
Don't sob till later. And
Jacob's turn.
Yay! Jacob in the tunnel. What about Daddy in the tunnel?
Here we go.
Yay! Yay! I do still think you're giving him too much on his plate.
That's too much.
Yeah, because he's a child, a fussy eater, I'd give him half that amount, and then he can. It's better for him to finish the plate.
Yeah, it's too overawing.
And then that is for him is such a reinforcement.
Yeah. Okay.
So give him a lot less. If he's still hungry, he will ask you for more, which is even better. When you graph progress with children with behaviour problems, particularly with food, you might get nothing, then you get shunk, which was yesterday, garlic bread. You might plateau for a while. It's not a straight upward curve.
No.
And I wanted to say to you, rein in. Don't you're so happy now, you're just running now.
Yeah.
He's eating more now than he normally eats ever anyway.
Mums Alyson Hadley and Michelle Wright are taking advantage of the good weather.
Right, let's see who can skip the fastest one.
Skip.
Shall we hop on? Skip. Oh my God, hop. There we go. Half as well. Hey, what's next? Jumping. Who can jump?
Who can jump the best?
Jump.
Go on then.
Jump. Jacob, run.
I can't do it.
Indoors, the mood is more sombre.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just having a rest.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just having a think. Just having a quiet think while everyone's out there.
What are you thinking about?
I'm just thinking about the last few days, really, and just nice to get your head around things and what I've got to perhaps do more often and just go with the flow and just rein back a little bit.
Do you think I've been a bit tough on you?
No. Just, I get worse than that in a meeting with hate from two people sitting opposite me. That's
So,
not...
man, I've got to crank it up then if I'm going to get things done before you go.
Yeah, that wasn't anything.
OK, right. OK. Consultation room later on. Isaac's eating. Yes.
In consultation earlier this week, Mum Paula Murphy told Tanya that she suffered from postnatal depression after 2.5-year-old Isaac was born, which led to her being separated from the family for 9 months. Tanya is concerned that the separation that Paula experienced is causing her to restrict Isaac's development as a toddler and one of the causes of his eating problems. Tanya is keen to help Paula deal with this traumatic period of her life and help her move on.
I wanted to talk to you a bit about the period of time that you had, the postnatal depression, but I've got a little something to help us through it, really.
All right, OK. What's this?
Who's that?
That, I'd say it's Eggert.
Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac, yeah. Sorry.
Also known as Eggert. What's it like when you're looking back, particularly the baby pictures?
Don't like looking at that.
Why?
Because that's when I didn't know him. It's a part that I missed that it really, really hurts to look at it. It really does. When Steve's done video footage and he's put it on for the kids and I won't watch it. I don't think he's aware because I don't know, but I'd sort of make an excuse to, I need to go and do something else in the room or I'll just do it quietly and
go off and do something else. I can't watch it. It is really painful. Very painful.
Tell me where you were when this was taken, what was going on?
I was either in hospital or living at my mum's.
What was that time like?
The worst time of my life. Completely the worst time. It was horrible. It was... I don't know.
I think it's tears that you need to shed, actually. And I think when you shed them and you can look at this photo and start to not have pain, it might be the time that a lot of this stuff you'll be able to move on from it. But I think the more you avoid it, the more you don't look and don't see, the more the pain sits inside you.
It's just easier to avoid it now. I feel as if I want to... I could have a real good cry over it.
And you don't? And why don't you?
Because I stop myself.
Because?
He's going to make me feel down and it's just... You just say to yourself, you just don't ever want to feel like that or be in that situation ever again.
How old would he have been there?
I don't know.
Oh, sweetheart.
I don't know. That's what hurts, because I don't know. But it's that face that I don't know. I don't know.
You won't become depressed again, I promise. I won't let you. I can help you get your son eating. I can hold you together through this. I know I can.
But it hurts because I look at it and I think I want to know him then.
Do you think that's why you kept a part of him at that stage of development, because you wanted to know him? But you can't go back to know him.
It could be. It could be.
Do you not know this baby?
Not in that photo, no. No.
I can see why it was the worst time of your life. It sounds like you were sort of trapped in hell for a while.
Yeah. I started to give up. I didn't want to be around anymore. It got to the point where I just didn't want to be alive. I just didn't want to be here. I didn't...
You have a choice now that you can now take control and decide that it's not going to control you anymore. It took control of you, it took control of your life, it took your boys away from you. It fractured your family, it fractured everything that is the most important to you and in your life. There was nothing you could do. Now, you can make a choice about whether it continues to control you or whether you take control of it. And my feeling is that you're ready to take control of it, but I think the only way you're going to do that is to get the photos out, and is to look at the videos, and is to sit with Steve and enjoy seeing them that age, even though you weren't there, because I think it's time for you to face it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Have a think about how you want to do this. You might feel that you can do this, that this chat has been enough to help you do it, just you and Steve and the videos and the photos, and I think you have to make time, maybe set aside an evening a week where you and Steve know that for an hour or so you'll do this. Just take it slowly.
Make myself look at the photos.
And I think grieve a bit for what you lost then, because it's like a bereavement. And you're not going to get it back, but you've still got them now. But you did lose that time, and I think you need to do some grieving for that. I think you're ready.
Taking Matthew and Ross out in public is Michelle Wright's worst nightmare, so Tanya has sent them to the park so that Michelle can practice a technique to help keep the boys under control.
When Mummy counts to 3, 1, 2, 3, you come back to Mum. You can get a sweetie, you can get a treat, but have a good time, okay?
starts well, and for once the boys are doing just as Michelle asks.
Matthew, could you come over to Mum just now? Matthew, if you come over to Mum, I'll give you a treat. 1, 2, 3. Good boy. Listen, Mummy will go and get the treats, OK?
But despite the rewards, it's not long before Matthew and Ross are back to their old ways.
Oh, stop it! I said no! You do what Mummy tells you to do. That was dangerous. I asked you to stand there and not move, but you did, so you're not getting a treat. So we started off lovely, and everything was going fine, but just feel absolutely dragged between the two of them. Two of them want to do different things and physically can't be in two places at once. That is so dangerous, you climbing up that chute. I told you not to do that. You are going in time out. Look at me. I said no to move. Do as you're told. Look at Mum, I said do not move, so you must stay here. They're both in time out. I asked them not to move and they did move. And that's it. They're both. I'm actually very surprised that they're sitting there. I expected to be chasing after them.
Using time out has got the boys to behave again. It's been good practice for Michelle, but it's just the first step towards conquering more challenging days out. When the Murphys arrived last Sunday, 5-year-old Jacob would refuse to eat unless he was spoon-fed. Using a technique known as social learning, where Jacob was encouraged to learn from the good eating habits of the other children at mealtimes, Tanya has turned his problem around, and now he's happily feeding himself. While Jacob and his younger brother Isaac play outside, Mum Paula and Dad Steve are in the consultation room.
I have a concern about Jacob, which I just want to discuss with you, because I do think he's quite sidelined. Yeah. And I'm seeing it still.
The overwhelming sense of achievement with Isaac's problem has just shadowed Jacob even more.
Yeah. Do you want to see some of these? I mean, they're very brief. I just wanted to show you if I...
Okay. Well done.
Well done.
Well done.
So, Isaac, where's Jacob? Can you see where Jacob is? Very good boy with your food.
Good boy.
So who does this belong to?
Egg.
Egg, who's also known as... Isaac! And so many names in this family. There we are, darling. Well done. But Jacob had got his trophy, and he went and he slid down the cupboards, and he was sitting there on his own eating his sweets. And it was almost like, right, well, you're done, and I'm not doing this because I want to destroy you or break your heart.
No, I
still see it an awful lot.
I've noticed it a long time ago. We was concentrating on the problem, even though we wasn't rectifying it.
Yeah.
In the old routine, all the attention was on Isaac meal times.
And that's why Jacob doesn't eat.
So Jacob's always had that.
Yeah.
And I've noticed him mimic Isaac's behaviour
to get your attention.
Thinking, you know, will I get the same attention?
Yeah.
And it has been clear to me, and I really want to try and spend, like, you know, a lot more time with Jacob now.
This is the last one, just to show you.
Good boy. Play in the tunnel. Play in the tunnel. Good boy.
Well done. Are you good?
He was lovely there, wasn't he? When you came to the table, you kind of put it in front of him, but you're still kind of looking at Isaac. It's all about Isaac. Everything's about Isaac. At the risk of slowing down Isaac's progress, I would say...
Get the balance.
Get the balance.
It's the 5th day in the House of Tiny Tearaways, and this week's families are presenting Tanya with a whole host of problems. In the Glasgow household of Michelle Wright, nights are anything but peaceful, as the constant waking of 3.5-year-old Matthew and 2-year-old Ross have left her exhausted and severely sleep-deprived. However, with Tanya's help, Michelle has made unbelievable progress, and the boys and her are now getting nearly an entire night's uninterrupted sleep. But the effort required has left Michelle under enormous strain. Tanya has shown Michelle how to be more assertive in an attempt to control Matthew and Ross's unruly behaviour during the day.
I said no. Brilliant. That felt good there.
But while she understands the theory, she's finding putting it into practice much harder. The Hadleys from Leicester are trying to cope with 3.5-year-old daughter Lucy's attention-seeking tantrums. Although Lucy's attitude is greatly improved, Mum Alyson and Dad Richard's relationship issues have proved a huge obstacle for Tanya and have been largely responsible for Lucy's manipulative behaviour. And Tanya wants them to come to an agreement to prevent the tantrums from returning in the future. The eating habits of 2.5-year-old Isaac and his older brother Jacob have been incredibly stressful for Mum Paula and Dad Steve Murphy, but during the week they've both advanced enormously. By learning good eating habits from the other children, 5-year-old Jacob has started to feed himself, and even more amazingly, Isaac has moved on from his usual liquidised food to feeding himself proper solid meals. But effort is still required to make sure this groundbreaking progress isn't a flash in the pan. Still to come, there's a surprise visitor for one of our families in the House of Tiny Tearaways.
Oh my God!
Michelle has returned from her day out at the park with sons Matthew and Ross. Tanya is waiting to find out how she got on.
How was it then? How was your outing?
It was lovely. I was so relaxed, and the situation felt really relaxed, and they were great. And the energy levels hit the high when we got to the playground. With Matthew, I'm seeing a different side to Matthew that I hadn't seen before. I'm not liking it at all. He loved the park, but he hated when I tried to say, no, you're not going up this slide. So I sat him down on the ground with his strap on, and that worked. And to do that 2 days ago, I couldn't have. There's no way he would have sat there. He would have ran off so quickly that I'd be chasing after him.
And why did he do it, do you think, in the last 2 days? What's changed that he stayed there? What does he perceive about you that's different?
Stronger. And I say that and I actually feel quite good and strong about it. That felt good, but there was times there today when it was weak. But those were times where I'm trying to do something with Matthew while trying to find where Ross is at the same time.
When you look back over this little outing that you've just had, how do you perceive it for yourself? Was it a success? Was it not a success? Was it useful? Was it not useful?
It's definitely useful, definitely.
Why? Because you're doing that to the robot. It isn't a robot. What? I can say that it's a robot. Yeah. And he said that it's a robot. Yeah. And everyone said it to me. Daddy. I'm a robot. Doesn't burn. He's not a robot. No. He's not a robot. 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 Everyone said that it's a robot. It's not a robot. It isn't a robot. It isn't a robot. But when was it gone? Can you ask your mum to come? Can I come to your house? Yeah.
While Mum Michelle Wright prepares for a quiet night, a surprise visitor arrives at the House of Tiny Tearaways.
Oh, there's somebody at the door.
That's my dad.
You are joking.
No. Oh my God. Oh my God.
There, I was just in the door and I get popped up 400 miles or something.
Can't believe you're here. Oh my God.
How you doing?
Oh my God. Alyson, this is my dad. This is Peter.
How's you doing? How's you doing?
This is Alyson's husband, Richard.
How you doing?
Oh my God.
Who's that? Is that Dad, Dad? Is that Dad, Dad?
Look. Who's that? Granddad. Oh.
It's like
just
getting kicks.
They've had 2 cakes from Mr. Duncan. Oh my God!
Peter,
Yeah?
why have you come here? What have you come here to do?
What about babysitting?
Who's babysitting tonight? Because you're going out. You're going out? Somewhere for you that I've set up. But you're gonna teach him how to put your boys to bed, and then I'm gonna be here to make sure it's all right, and you're gonna go out and have some time for you, okay? To say well done.
I can't believe this.
Hello there.
I am.
Grandad Peter has come to babysit Matthew and Ross for the night and is preparing to put the boys to bed under the watchful eye and guidance of Mum Michelle.
Give Grandad a kiss.
Oh,
Give Grandad a kiss, Ross.
Last night the boys went down with no fuss, but will the excitement caused by Grandad Peter's surprise arrival be too much?
You sit in the middle and you're just like, night night Ross, night night Matthew. Matthew tends to be okay, it's Ross is being kind of crying, it's night. Go to bed, good night.
In the Hadley suite, Alyson and Richard are trying to put Lucy to bed without her bottle for the first time. Last night there was more than an hour of tantrums from Lucy before she settled.
Stop messing about, because I'm not listening.
Will it be the same tonight?
It's all right, you'll be fine.
Mummy's not going.
And tonight, if she wakes up, comes in, we'll do the sharp, get bed now. You know what I mean? Not told.
Good night.
Come on, Alyson, don't cry. Come on, crying's the easy option. Don't keep crying. This has to be done, right? Right. I'm just trying to be... Right, let's...
I'm all right.
Right, let's not cry all the time. Let's be strong.
Get into this bed now. You are getting me very cross.
This week has seen an unbelievable shift in Michelle's life. She's managed to get her boys Matthew and Ross to sleep virtually uninterrupted throughout the night. With them both tucked up in bed and their granddad Peter paying a special visit to babysit for the evening, Michelle can receive the second part of her surprise, a night out on her own, something she hasn't been able to enjoy in over 2 years. Outside, her friends Diane and Audrey are waiting to make the surprise complete.
Let me just tell you something. I know you're shaking, but let me tell you something. You deserve this more than anyone I know. This is for you because you have done the most incredible stuff tonight. You are the most incredible woman. And you are going to have the best night. Have a look. There you go. In you go.
Oh my goodness.
In you go. In you go. what your boys are doing? They're sleeping! Never! Have a good night. See you later. All right, bye.
They've coded to me, like, take this. No! I couldn't lift this. No.
I can see. Michelle Wright hasn't had a night out in more than 2 years, so Tanya has arranged for her best friends Diane and Audrey to come down from Scotland to show her a really good time.
Where are we going? We're going to a Greek restaurant where there'll be lots of plate smashing, guys dancing, gorgeous food. Oh my god, I can't wait! Cheers! Here's to a really cool night. Cool.
Now that the boys are sleeping, she's going to have so much more energy and so looking forward to her future with her and the boys. It's going to be brilliant.
To know that the majority of the time my children can sleep, and that to me is just everything. To actually have the surprise of meeting my friends in the car. I have not had a night out for so long.
She was shaking, absolutely shaking. Absolutely fantastic, loved it, brilliant.
Just seeing Michelle's face has been unbelievable.
They've been through everything with me, so to have them with me just now, well, at my turning point is just amazing. Tonight has been absolutely amazing.
On their final night, and with little time left to agree on their parent contract, Alyson and Richard Hadley are still debating their future.
I've always wanted a routine for Lucy of getting up and a bedtime routine. Those two, right?
We're doing that.
Listen to me.
I'm listening.
Right? Anything that happens between those 2 points can be anything. I'm not bothered because you've got her. You can fill the day up with washing and ironing or whatever. I'm not bothered. But when it comes to bedtime, I like the routine. So that's what I'm saying. I like the end, this part here, but whatever happens in the middle can be anything.
And what about what I want?
You've got the whole slot of the day.
Oh, thank you.
You've got all. So I've asked for an hour at bedtime and an hour at morning, and you've got 8 hours during the day, and you're saying that's not enough.
Right. But you're not listening to what I'm saying. I agree with you there, that is correct. But all I was saying was that I was glad that you had admitted that you're controlling.
No, I'm not. I've just said about this. I'm not controlling. I like the routine in the morning. For me, 2-hour slots in the whole day.
And you've got talking about that.
Right. All I ask for is that at a certain time she's back in the house and into bed.
With that.
How am I controlling you there?
No, that's not the part that you're controlling.
Well, that's all I've ever wanted.
Let's just leave it there.
I know, because all I feel is you're just focusing on that point.
I am not. All I said was one thing. I'm just glad, one part of the whole week, that I'm glad that you have admitted it.
All right, let's just leave the glad that we've admitted it to one side. And this contract thing, I can't stress enough that it needs to go through. I don't want the, oh, we'll do it tomorrow day. We can't have that.
We are sticking to the contract.
Right.
Stop focusing on the negative.
No, but I'm not saying that is a positive. The contract is not negative, it's a positive because it's something.
No, you're saying that I might not stick to it, but I will.